What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. Now, recently I made a video talking about the design space of the Atheist and perhaps how that character or that kind of play could be changed to create a more balanced joy exchange between the players and the storyteller, and try and engage in a serious way to make a more fun, balanced character that could go on more scripts, because the way the Atheist exists, any script that it shows up on is an Atheist script. It must be engaged with in some way and rationalized before a game's conclusion if it exists, in the same way as Legion. You can't have Legion on a script without Legion coming up in conversation. And after releasing that video, I thought for a little while, had I perhaps come up with the best solution? Because, well, let's look at the Atheist test. The text. The storyteller can break the game rules, and if executed, good wins even if you are dead. No evil characters. So the Atheist means there's all good players in the town, and the demons, minions are not in play, and the storyteller represents the entire evil team, and if you execute the storyteller, all of the players win. But if an evil win condition is triggered, like all the players being executed, then the storyteller wins, all the players lose. And most of the time the storyteller should win by losing. The storyteller's victory condition really is having the players figure out the puzzle and then being executed and making a big show of the whole thing. And you go, oh, you found me out, I was evil the whole time, good job, town. And it's supposed to be a fun filler character. And now some of the scripts that it shows up on betrays this design tenet, having the drunk and the atheist on the same script, and having a drunk atheist where there's evil players in the game is shit. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that is just a horrible experience for the atheist player and kind of betrays the core design behind what that character is trying to do. And so in that video, I attempted a response, and I created the Eldritch Horror, which is basically a placeholder name. The storyteller is your evil accomplice and will break the rules to help you win. This was an attempt at making a more balanced game, because most of the times when I see the Atheist run, the storyteller is having way much more fun than all of the players who are suffering because nothing makes sense in the game state, and it's so impossible to solve the puzzle because the storyteller has not created what a balanced game would be as if it was a regular game. Because the storyteller has way too much power over the narrative and how the players interact with all the different characters and the abilities and stuff, that the storyteller can be basically undefeatable until all of the players just get to a point where they're like, I want this game to end, I'm going to execute the storyteller regardless of the outcome, which kind of sucks. And the idea behind the Eldritch Horror is that there is still a player within the game responsible, and you are not engaging with an outside entity. And I think that this was a very serious attempt at solving the problem, and it, has its own new problems, and it solves some of the problems. And then I thought, this is a silly, goofy character, the Atheist, and really shouldn't be engaged with very seriously. What if we just created a silly, goofy solution to a silly, goofy character? And so I created the ventriloquest. All good players are marionettes. Fuck it, all you're on my evil team. You win if the storyteller is executed, who will break the rules to try and convince town to execute you. So there is a slightly different dynamic here. Everyone is still on the same team, but all of the good players think they are good, but they are actually marionettes. So their abilities may malfunction according to what the storyteller is doing to try and frame the ventriloquest. And the ventriloquest is a demon, which, unlike a townsfolk, if executed, has a loss condition attached to it. It is like if the atheist was also the saint. So the difference is the ventriloquest comes out on the first day and goes, guys, the storyteller is the one we have to kill. We are all on the same team. Normally, when an atheist comes out, everyone goes, great, execute yourself, because an evil player would know that there is no evil, there's no atheist in play and can bluff it and will do this, so you should die. But you can't say that to a ventriloquist, because that would end the game in a loss condition for all of the players who are on the same team. My imagination of how it will run out is kind of like how Evil Twin works. On the first day, a pair of people wake up and go, it's an evil twin. That guy is not the town crier. That's the evil twin. I'm the real town crier. You should trust me and my town crier information, or fucking whatever. And everyone goes, great. We understand an evil twin exists. I have other side quests to complete before we deal with this. There's a demon. I want to kill him and then come back. Whatever this is, we'll fix this later. And I want this to kind of be the same deal. The ventriloquist comes out and goes, all right, everyone, you're all my marionettes. We are together on the evil team. And then the storyteller is going to give all of the townsfolk information that is going to convince them that the ventriloquist is a different evil demon or whatever. Convince them to execute the ventriloquist. So imagine a fisherman hint. The fisherman hint goes, the player that is the ventriloquist is lying to you. And they're like, well, okay. That both confirms the ventriloquist and also if it was true and accurate information, then, right? Like, it will basically create a state where you have to be mindful of and consider what the puzzle is going to be. And also, everyone being a marionette, kinda, I don't know, I feel like it sets a more rigid framework for what you can expect from the storyteller. The marionette character implies that you're simulating how that townsfolk should interact. And then you as the storyteller breaking the rules really only should be doing things that other minions or other demons on the script could be doing because you are trying to make the ventriloquist look like there is an evil team and that they are a different evil demon. And I think that that achieves what the Eldritch Horror was trying to do. The Eldritch Horror has this problem where there's just one guy and he's like, yep, I have one vote for my entire team for the entire game, which is a little brutal. And doesn't have other people to teamwork with. I mentioned this briefly in a previous thing like this, where it was like both teams do teamwork to win. The good team is trying to solve the puzzle and put the information together. The evil team is trying to, like, for example, with Spy, it's trying to pass on the information as to who's best to execute. They're trying to put all these things together. They're trying to figure out who they're going to target. They're trying to figure out who they're trying to frame as the demon. The evil team does have some teamwork involved, and part of the fun for the evil team is that you know what's happening a lot more than the good team, and you have teammates that you can implicitly trust from the start because you know that they're on the evil team with you most of the time, Puppet Girl and stuff like that aside, and the Eldritch Horror removes that from the game. The ventriloquist is begging, trying to herd cats, basically, begging all of the other players to go, look, you are a marionette, you need to trust me, we need to figure it out. And the storyteller is intentionally trying to frame one guy as evil. And how much town believes that is the puzzle solving part of the ventriloquist, and I think that would be much more fun and interactive than the Eldritch Horror. So it's kind of a retractment where I think the Eldritch Horror might actually be bad. But the whole idea of me doing these kinds of videos is to think about the design space. What makes Clock Tower such a good game is that there is a large design space. It says this is the core of the game and it's solid, and how everything interacts and what the different phases are, and what types of characters and what types of information and stuff exist. And a solid core of kind of the base theory and some of the experimental ones exist around this rock solid space and show you what some possibilities are in that space. But beyond that, there is still so much unexplored design space that I can sit here and go, what about this guy? And just be wrong and it just suck. And then we go and try it and you go, well, that was shit. But what about this guy? And then we try the next thing and then we go, well, that was a little bit better. What if we added this? And a lot of the characters that I work on over time kind of have the same thing. The Framed is a great example. The Framed I made pretty early on. And I was like, this is a great character because he goes, hey, look, I'm slated for execution. If you lift off of me, I'm going to get info and I'm going to learn a good player. That's basically the text of the Framed. And players that pulled the Framed out of the bag weren't trying to get nominated, when they were nominated, weren't trying to get people to lift off of them. They weren't engaging with that part of the game. And I'm like, is it because it's too hard? Is it because it's going to be really difficult to convince people to do this? Is it just not a good character? And we changed it, we reduced it down to 3, and it plays a lot differently, and it plays a lot better. Same with the Mod Save Cracker. The Mod Save Cracker was if you survived up until the second last day, you would learn all the dead evil characters, which is pretty good. You understand, like the kind of risk-reward system there. and it never activated. I added a clause to it that said if you would die, the first time you would die at night, you do not, still would never activate. I'm like, well, this sucks, actually. This character is just bad if it's never doing anything. Because like the Ravenkeeper itself has a low hit rate. Like, it's much more to see Ravenkeeper on the final day or have Ravenkeeper be executed before the Ravenkeeper is going to activate, assuming it's not poisoned or drunk. You're like, well, the window is small for this character to be useful, and the MSC was worse than that. And I gave it things to help, and it was still worse than that. So now we changed it, and it's not the MSC anymore, it's the Channeler. And when you die at night, you learn all of the dead evil characters, which is like a nice companion to the Oracle, because the Oracle goes, I know how many dead people are evil. And the Channeler goes, well, I know one of them, one of those dead evil people is the Fangu, or whatever, is the imp that Starpassed. And the Oracle goes, well, I got a 1, so this information aligns, right? And creating synergy between two different things, make puzzle pieces that fit together. And this is trying to accomplish the same thing. What does the Atheist provide as a unique game experience? What about the Atheist creates a negative game experience? What, you know, in the not overlapping part of this Venn diagram can we explore into, you know, chisel away at that new space and find a new way for this character to function? Which I think is fun, and I think that is one of the exciting things that I like doing on this channel, is engaging with game design. I don't just do it for Clocktower, I do it for other stuff as well. I've done it. I've made custom cards for games like Marvel Snap, Pokemon Pocket, Pokemon TCG, Magic the Gathering. I've made, you know, stuff like that. I make my own games that I release whole fucking things. But engaging with other design spaces is a way of sharpening one's own skills, so that when I go and do make other similar things, because I've made a whole bunch of social reduction games, and when I'm working on and building things, I go, well, actually, I learned this from this experience working on this thing, that this worked really well, or this did not work very well, or this was a negative experience that I want to avoid, or this was a really positive experience that I want to encourage, and what kind of play behavior can we encourage with the game? Because other designers have said this to me before, that unless directly instructed to, players will not have fun. And the Atheist does kind of feel like that, where the Atheist, the player in particular, has the worst time. All of the other players have a slightly better time, and then the storyteller has a great time. And in Clocktower, the storyteller already gets a bad rap for having the best time. So creating a character that says the storyteller has an even better time seems rough. At least the ventriloquest, you're challenging one player. You're challenging the demon to defeat you. You're challenging the demon to convince the town that you, the storyteller, are in fact the one that needs to be executed. And I think that is interesting and different, and operates within a different design space, and might be fun to play. We will find out. I'll put a script together. We will check this one out and see how it goes. And if you're excited to see how that will come together and play, stick around, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, so that the Cutlass Board Game channel videos are much more likely to be provided to you by the algorithm gods, because we do a lot of Clocktower on this channel. It's like 4 uploads a week or something ungodly. Because I enjoy it a lot, and I play it a lot with my regular group, and they tolerate me when I make goofy shit like this, and we can try it out and play it and have a little bit of fun. So hopefully I'll be catching you in one of our next episodes, and find out if I pull out an evil total out of the bag, because it's most of the time. I'm just evil most of the time.